Okay, so my biggest failure, I guess failure, I feel like I talk about this a lot. Like I think we have a few videos on the channel where I talk about this, and sometimes I feel like a broken record telling the story over and over again. But I remember my biggest failure very, very clearly, and it's because it really shaped my life. You see, my whole life, I always thought of myself as a good student. Like I was, like a straight A student with a B maybe once or twice, and I was always the type of student that really put a lot of self-worth into my grades. Like I thought being smart and getting good grades was the key to success and happiness. So when I went to college, I settled on engineering because I was like, oh, well, if I'm an engineer, then that's gonna prove how smart and successful I can be. But I soon found out that maybe I wasn't the best at engineering. Like I got through my first year and it was okay. It wasn't my favorite thing, but it was all right. But it was into my second year that I started to realize how much I was struggling with it. And I was trying to do everything on my own because I still was on a mission to prove how smart I was and how much I could figure things out. And so I wasn't really studying a whole lot. I was just doing the bare minimum of homework. And finally, the second semester of my sophomore year, I was in this really, really tough class. And I was just kind of giving it like half the attention it needed, whatever, I'll figure it out. But halfway through the semester, I just totally failed this test. Like the worst grade I've ever gotten on a test. I remember sitting there looking at it, flipping back and forth, and being like, I couldn't answer a single one of these questions. Like there was no way that I knew anything. And so I got a really bad grade on that test, and it just so happened that that one test just put me below the mark, and there was no way that I could make up the rest of the class. So I was doomed to fail after that. And I had to retake the class in the summer and take a couple other classes. And at that time in college, if you're gonna sign up for a summer class, especially if you're retaking, it costs a couple $1,000s. So it was a pretty big mistake, and it cost me a lot, both financially and to my own pride. And this one failure, this one class, set off this chain reaction in me. And I don't think a lot of people I didn't even realize it at the time. And this reaction was, I started to realize first, maybe I wasn't in the right degree for me. And second, maybe I didn't really know a lot about what was going to make me happy and what I wanted to do in the future. And this was kind of like an existential crisis moment for me, because I was so sure that I had figured everything out and I was doing everything right and I was on the right path. But now with this failure of a class, I had to really second guess myself. And it actually turned out that even though that summer was probably one of the most painful summers of my life, it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. And I still look back on that difficult experience with such fondness, because I realized, number one, how much you know doesn't even make a difference. Like it really doesn't matter if you're the smartest person in the room or you know the most amount of information or if you're getting straight A's. It really doesn't make a big difference on how you live every day and how successful you are. Number two, you can never be successful on your own. I tried so hard to do it all on my own without any help, and it was just a nightmare. And it really showed me that I very much needed to talk to people and figure out who I am, what I'm good at, where would I actually fit in? Would I actually be a good engineer? Do my skill sets fit it? Do I have the personality for it? And not only that, more specifically in school, there's no reason to do all of your assignments, all of your work, all of your studying by yourself. And so it wasn't until that failure that I started to rethink who I was, what I loved doing, and I took a whole new approach to education that made it so much easier for me. And after that moment, I actually finished this degree, even though I didn't end up going in engineering, and I went on to get 2 graduate degrees, all with this new mindset of being able to work together, being able to ask for help, and not trying to be the guy who knows all the information.